Alright, well, hello everyone. Simon here. We're playing Heartful Boyfriend again. And I've finally found the story, guys. There is an actual good story in here somewhere. So here's what's going on. In order to get to the actual story, you have to finish the dating sim with all the birds. You have to unlock the endings for every bird before you get to the real story. And that utterly sucks because the dating sim is just stupid. It really is just stupid. And you have to go through it multiple times. You have to go through it. So I'm gonna show you the gallery here. So this is like the bad ending, and then there's how many? Look at this. We get to here. There's 13. There's 13 proper endings. And so and you have to go through all of them to unlock the actual story. And so what happens is the first time you go through it, you chase after one ending, good, go through the thing. The story itself, the way it's written, it's just unnecessarily verbose anyway. So the first time you play through, 50% of the dialogue is just unnecessary. But that's how it's written. But then the second time you play through, most of the stuff is the same, except you choose a few different things to unlock a different ending with a different bird, right? So then maybe 80% is fluff now because you've seen this stuff already. And so then every time you play through, there's less and less new stuff for you to see until the 12th ending. You're seeing maybe 2% new content. And so it's just this kind of really repetitive grinding through stuff that was never very interesting to begin with. But after you unlock all of this stuff, then it gives you the option to actually play the proper story, which is something completely different and actually is kind of interesting. Before we go into it, I'm going to go into that. I'm going to play through that, and we're going to see the story together. I have seen it before. But before we do that, let me just introduce the birds to you, because this is what the grinding is about. The grinding is about you learning the backstory of these birds. So this one, while it lasts, so your friend, Ryuta is his name. This is your best friend, your childhood friend. And the story is that he is weak and his mother is sick. And so then he's just kind of weak and sad and trying to take care of mommy. He takes multiple jobs and he kind of works really hard to try to pay for his mother's treatment. And eventually his mother dies, and then he gets sad. And then you kind of say, well, we should get together and get married or something. And then he's like, oh, no, just be sad for you because everybody dies and birds live much shorter lifespans than humans and all that. And he say, no, get together. So there's all this sappy kind of love conquers everything kind of thing. And so he loses his mother, and then you get together with him. So this is the vanilla relationship. You kind of get together with your childhood friend, right? So this is him. So remember, the key parts is that he is physically weak, and his mother dies. Into the night. So this is the aristocrat. What's his name again? I forgot his name. Something. Anyway, so the aristocrat. So he's born the labelle. So he's the pigeon who comes from a rich family. And he's chosen to be the next head of the family, and his father kind of he's already kind of determined for him what his life is going to be, and his job is simply to fulfill and to inherit the legacy that is his bloodline, right? And then but he actually likes music. He doesn't actually want to do that. He just loves music and wants to perform. And so his story is that eventually you kind of get to know him enough, and you he's kind of this kind of sheltered, spoiled, rich kid, and then you bring him out. You go through the festivals and things, and you kind of bring him out and then show him new experiences, and then in the end, he runs away from home because he hates his life, and then you tell him to confront his father and insist on becoming a musician instead of being the head of whatever his family is. And that's the story. So he's kind of this kind of rich, sheltered kid who kind of learns about the real world from you. So that's another the more cliches. It's another cliched story. That's his story. And there's two endings for this. Some of these have two endings, and the difference between the two is like a few extra lines of dialogue. So you basically have to play through twice to see a few extra lines of dialogue. So you remember how I talk about the grinding and the unnecessary grinding and how it's kind of really, really, really repetitive stuff that you just kind of have to fast forward through all the stuff you've seen before, choose a few things differently just to get a few extra lines. So it's just really unrewarding stuff that you have to grind through. So that's that. So he gets two endings. Who knows why? Who knows why there's two endings for him? Dreams End. So this is the ghost. The ghost in the library. So that you meet the bird in the library who doesn't say anything. I think I've told you this before. So he's a ghost. He killed himself in the school in the past, and so his ghost is stuck in the library. And if you keep going back to the library to talk to him about what's going on out there, then eventually he becomes satisfied that he's kind of lived, quote unquote, lived enough of school life to move on. And then after a while, his ghost his spirit kind of moves on and he disappears from the library. If you keep going back to talk to him, you learn about the fact that he killed himself here and then he disappears. So that's a ghost. Okay, well, there's a story there. Yuya only lived twice. So Yuya is the aristocrat's half brother apparently. He's the mongrel apparently, and you find out from him that there's some sort of secret plot going on in the school, and that the doctor at the infirmary is some sort of villain. But it is kind of unresolved. There's some sort of like at the end he talks to you about how this weird experiment is going on at the school, and the Hawk Party is up to no good, and eventually he kind of but then his cover is blown because of various events that happen, and so the doctor realizes who he is, and then so he has to escape, and then he runs away, and then you can choose to run away with him, and that's his ending. So he's like he's an agent for the Dove Party, but he gets kind of uncovered by the agents of the Hawk Party, and so he has to escape, and he becomes a spy, and then you can join him and become a spy with him in the Dove Party. So that's his story. So there's some sort of nefarious plot going on in the school. You learn from this one, and that he's a secret agent of some sort. Until next time. Oh, this is Oko-san. Oko-san is the pigeon who actually is a pigeon. He doesn't actually talk. He actually speaks like a bird and not like a human. So he runs a lot, and he has a complex relationship with pudding. Right? And so if you pursue his story, then he continues to have a problematic relationship with pudding, and he runs a lot. But after a while, he decides to leave the school to go on an epic quest to become pudding, which you can go with him, which is this one. You can just and he leaves on an epic quest to find pudding, and you can go with him to find pudding. Or in his second ending, you actually succeed in finding the sacred pudding, and then he becomes the messiah of pudding, and he ascends into the heavens, and everybody gets pudding. If you're thinking to yourself right now, that doesn't actually make any sense, you are correct. So his story is that is pudding. His story is alright. Let's go on. So what may come? What is this one? I forgot what that one is. What may come? What may come? What may come? What am I missing? Oh, this one is. Let's see. Oh, and then okay. This is a teacher. You can also have hot for your teacher, and you don't learn much about it. Although at one point, he drops his phone, and you find a photo that's been scribbled out. So you can't see what the photo is, but he keeps a photo that he's completely scribbled out, so you can't see anything. And you go back to him and you talk to him about it, and he tells you that he used to know someone who is gone now, and he has some sad memories about losing this person, but you can't bring them back, and and in the end he kind of he burns the photo, and he says, well, you got to give up on things that are already gone, like you can't hold on to the past and all that sort of stuff, and then but it's inappropriate for a teacher to start banging his students, and so maybe after you grow up you can go back to him. So that's the story. So the teacher has attachments to somebody who is long gone, and it doesn't say much about it though. He only tells you that, well, it's a sad story, but doesn't actually tell you what it is exactly, other than the fact that he has to let go of this memory. And that's that's a teacher. The doctor, such beautiful eyes you have. The doctor, if you go hang out with the doctor is in fact quite creepy and quite nefarious. If you keep hanging out with him, in the end he kills you for experiments or something, some sort of study or something, whatever. He's probably just crazy. So he kills you, the doctor does, if you keep kind of going to him. So like if you work at the infirmary, you can just kind of keep talking to him, and you kind of see weird things, but you can also still try to be friends with the doctor, in which case he's kind of amused by it, and eventually he just kills you in the infirmary with a knife. And this is his second ending, which after he kills you, he preserves your head, but then he is chased down by the authorities because he murdered you, right? And so in the end, he takes your head and runs off, but is caught and killed by the authorities, and so so then he dies next to your head, and that's the happy couple, which is he kills you, and then he himself is killed by the authorities with you next to him in the end. Kind of crazy, but also kind of amusing. This one is the bird with the red patch. We've actually played through this one. So this guy is kind of insane. He belongs to the comic book club apparently, and he seems to be delusional and thinks that he is living in some sort of fantasy comic world. But it's also half true. Anyway, so what happens? He believes something terrible is happening in the infirmary with the doctor, which is true. But also the infirmary doctor is also trying to get rid of him. So in the end, like he appears, says random things, and then disappears. And he does this throughout the story. And in the end, you find him, and you eventually confront the doctor with him. And you're not entirely sure what happened, but it turns into some sort of weird RPG, and you defeat the doctor. And that's the ending of this one. What is it called? Crimson Angel of Judica is him. So he's got this kind of weird delusion going on. But it might also be real, you're not sure, because you also see this thing happen and you take part in it. And then there is this. So this is the bird, the only other female character. So you are a girl, you're a human girl. And this is the sparrow, Asami, I think is her name, is part of the biker gang. So this we've seen this one. If you invite her to the cafe where you work, then she meets her old boss, her old gang leader, and they kind of hook back up together if you choose to. Or if you choose not to have them hook up, he kicks him in the face and then runs off. And then after a while, because she saves you from being bullied by a bunch of pigeons, right? Pumpkins, they were called. Eventually, the pumpkins come back for revenge, and she's there, but you're outnumbered, and you fight them off together. And then she takes you under her wing, and you become a gang of female-only delinquents who follow traffic laws very carefully. So you run off with her and then become like a gang or something. So that's the 13th ending. So that's the story, but you don't really need to know about Asami because she doesn't actually appear in the real story, which is slightly problematic. Spoiler alert: you don't appear in the actual story neither. So when you get to the actual real story of Hatoful boyfriend, you'll find that it's all boys. Like the only two female characters in the whole game aren't actually in the real story. They're just anyway. That's slightly kind of weird for me because like it's just literally all boys when you get to the meat of it. Kind of weird, but I don't know. It happens a lot in video games and comics and films. Okay, so now that we've gone through all that, let's play the actual game, which if you wanted to play yourself, you have to spend hours and hours and hours grinding through boring crap to get to this point. But I've done that for you now, so you don't have to do that. New game. So this is pretty much the same as before. We choose your name. Yes, Tosaka is my name. And then we don't want the human portraits. This doesn't matter. Oh crap, I just fast forwarded through it. Maybe I should go back. Okay, maybe just let me just restart. Because I did just fast forward through something new and probably interesting. And this is the problem with this game, is that there's so much junk to fast forward through, and often you just skip new stuff, but then you don't want to go back because it's not that interesting anyway. Let's just start again. Let's just go through this again. There's just so much crap getting in the way of the good stuff. That's the problem with this game. All the good stuff is hidden behind all the crap. Alright, yes, this is okay, yes. Let's just not press the fast. I didn't know, I'll press the fast forward very carefully. So we don't want the human portraits. So this next bit, this part, unlocks after you've gone through all the endings. You can take this chance to fulfill a promise from long ago, or you can live a normal school life this semester. Which do you choose? And we say fulfill the promise. So this is a real story. The normal life is the junk. So we fulfill the promise. Is there anything you desire? I can grant whatever you wish. Tell me. A strange bird once said that. Who was that bird talking to? Who was that bird talking to you? And so this is the same as before. So the game goes through all of this to introduce each bird one at a time. And it goes through this every single time, right? So it's just repetitive, and not interesting. We've seen this before. If you don't remember, go back to early videos. I think this is still... Alright, so that's Oko-san. Alright, and this I think... No, this is still the same stuff. Alright, so it doesn't matter what we do here. Who should we join? What should we do? Let's go with the track team. I don't believe I've shown Oko-san on video much. Let's go to the track team. Alright, let's everyone have fun.